Welcome to the Selling with Influence podcast, where we show you how to sell more of your products and services consistently, predictably, and profitably without having to offer discounts, quote lower margins, or compete on price in a race to the bottom just to get the business.
My name is Dwayne Huff, founder and CEO of Influence Seminars, and I am your host.
Hello guys, and welcome back. So glad you decided to join me for this episode. Listen, I have to be honest, as I jumped into this podcast and I fell into a trap, or say that I fell into a trap this week after being in sales for 24 years that we hear about all the time. And we swear we're never going to fall into it. We figure we have it. We've heard it time and time again. And that trap is prescribing before we diagnose. Now, before I jump in there, there's a couple of things that I want to unpack there. We got to remember that three things that we need to have belief and confidence in is ourselves, first and foremost, the company we're selling for, if we're selling for a company, or if it's our brand or our company, if we're entrepreneurs or business owners, we have to have confidence in what we're selling, and then the product or service that we're selling. And if we don't, we can get our cage rattled pretty quickly, even if we know our stuff, even if we know we have the best solution, the best product, the best service for the customer, because if we are lacking in any one of those three areas, and combined with the fact that we fall into the trap of prescribing before we diagnose, that can be a double whammy, and that's exactly what happened to me. I'm going to dig into it here for you. Before I do, if you're just finding the podcast, if you're new to the podcast, please subscribe, give us a review, and leave a comment. It helps spread the message. And if you'd like to watch the podcast, you can find it on YouTube. I'll drop a link below in the comments so you can see how to listen to it or to watch it. But here's what happened. So I'm developing confidence in a new product and service that I'm offering. And I'm always trying to build my confidence in my abilities to serve, to help, to solve problems, and to sell, right? And after being in sales for 24 years, it's a constant personal development, professional development thing. I mean, sometimes we're at the top of our game, sometimes we're crushing it, sometimes we're confident, sometimes we're competent, and sometimes, no matter how hard we try, no matter how good we prepare, no matter how well we know our products and services, we can fall into this trap. And sometimes things unravel because of a lack of confidence in any one of the three areas that I mentioned. But if we get too excited or too focused on what we know that our product or service can do for the customer, sometimes we jump in and try to solve a problem that they may or may not have, or prescribe before we truly understand what's going on. So, lesson learned hard. I got kicked in the teeth a couple of times this week by this phenomenon, and it's simply because I got too eager to try to show my buyer, my prospect, how my product and service could better serve them and help them to grow their business. But what I failed to do was understand what problems they wanted to solve, or where the gaps were that they were perceiving, what was going well, what wasn't going well, and if there was even a need in the first place or a want in the first place. And I fell right into that trap. And so what happened is I reached out to someone I've known for a while, and their business is absolutely amazing. It's huge, but I know that I can help them through some technology and systems that I'm now connected with and now I'm offering as part of what I do. I knew, just because of the people that I'm now connected to, the technology that's in place, and the relationships in a network that could have served this person. But I shouldn't have started there. And that's exactly what I try to do. What I should have done is I should have reconnected the relationship and done a little bit deeper dive into understanding what this person was trying to accomplish in their business, what was on the horizon, what they were looking to achieve next, and why they perceived that they weren't getting there yet. But I made a lot of assumptions. I didn't do my research, and I fell right into the trap. And as a result, the person looked at me and said, "I don't see how this is going to serve me. No, thank you." And it hurt, and it stung. One, because I knew what it could do for their business, but two, because I failed them and failed myself in the process. So I just want to, in this episode, remind all of us, myself included, that the best thing we can do to serve our potential buyers, prospects, and customers and clients is to not make any assumptions. One of my mentors told me recently, he said, Dwayne, listen, don't show up with the expectation to sell something to somebody. Show up, strengthen the relationship, listen to what they're going through. Try to identify problems that you might have a solution to. And even if that solution doesn't directly impact or affect you, lead them in the right direction. And again, I have to admit, I stumbled across that and I fell. But here's what I also want to tell you. You have to beware of haters, of people who do not understand what you understand and know what you know, so that your confidence can't be shaken. And you've also got to be wary of gaslighters. People who are going to make you believe or try to make you believe that you're not capable of doing what you do without their guidance, without their help, without their assistance, without their wisdom, without their knowledge. In other words, they'll try to minimize what you believe you know to a way that it's going to undermine your confidence and have you second guess yourself or lower your aspiration. That's actually a negotiations technique. So be aware of that. And how do you prevent that from happening? Well, as sales professionals, we have to constantly be studying our craft. We have to be a student of the craft and the art of selling. Number two, we have to constantly be working on ourselves, our mindset, our mental capacity, and our growth mindset to be able to be strong in the face of adversity. We have to know our products and our services. We have to know the industry, and we have to know what problems we can solve. But the most important thing that we can do to be more successful consistently is let go of our agenda to sell something. Show up with a bucket instead of a microphone. Ask great questions. And if it means in that discovery process that we have to take a step back and we have to say in our minds, listen, I don't know that I can solve their problem right now or that I have a solution to their problem, but it's worth considering doing some more research, asking deeper questions, and giving time and space so that whenever we come back to the table with our client, with our prospective buyer, with our prospect, we can serve them better. And I'm reminded, I go back to this all the time because this was the biggest part of my official sales career before I started my company. I was in pharmaceutical sales, and I would call on doctors once every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, or every 4 weeks, depending on how they were in the rotation. And there was many times that I'd get into a conversation with a doctor, and I knew my stuff. I knew my product. I knew my service. I believed in the company. I believed in what they had taught me, and I knew I could serve this doctor's patients with my particular product in some instances. But there was times that in the conversation I'd get stumped, or I wouldn't have the answer, or I'd second guess myself, or I got stuck in the conversation and didn't know how to go away or how to solve the problem. And one of the best practices that they taught me in my first pharmaceutical job was to have a pre-call plan, go into my call with a specific goal, and come out and do a post-call analysis and a post-call plan, so that whenever I went back into that doctor's office, I had a strategy that was focused and a goal to help them move forward with a therapy that would serve their customers best. But there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, I had to let go of my agenda. Second of all, I had to be willing to step back and go back to the drawing board and really think through, where did I miss it? What should I have said? What should I have asked? How can I have better served? And with that strategy, knowing my product, knowing my service, being confident in myself, confident in the company, knowing the goal that the physician, or in your case, the prospect, the potential buyer has, being able to go back to the drawing board, rethink the approach, the angle, the goal, and the strategy, and come back to ask deeper questions, to engage in a conversation that sounds like this, as opposed to prescribing what I think is the solution, coming in and saying, you know what, last time we talked about this, and I kind of got lost in that conversation, but I did some thinking since we talked last time, and let me ask you a question. Suppose that, what if, how about, would you consider, have you tried, have you thought of? Questions like that will re-engage the conversation and help me to get a better understanding of what they're trying to solve for, what their goals are, where the gaps they perceive are, so that I can then do a much better job of prescribing because I fully diagnosed that situation. So to recap, here's what I would say. If you've ever fallen in the trap like I did of prescribing before you diagnosed, you know how painful it can be. It's painful for you. It's painful for them. It makes them feel sold. It makes you feel icky, and it erodes your confidence in your ability to serve. So to lay the foundation, make sure you have a strong confidence in yourself, a full understanding and awareness of your products and services and how it can help your potential buyer, and then the company you represent. And if that's your own company, spend time really understanding how you serve in a very unique way and how you can solve the problems of your customers, your prospects, and your potential buyers. And then when you go into the conversation, let go of your agenda to sell something. Go in there listening, eager, curious, helpful, serving. And if you can solve their problem with your product or service, make a recommendation and show them, connect the dots for them, how it can help them not solve general problems, but real world problems that they're perceived they're facing. And if you see a solution that's better than the one that you can provide them, you have an obligation, an integrity of sales, to be professional and to point them in that direction. So I hope that served. If you enjoyed this, please share this with somebody who else could enjoy it or benefit from it. If you're listening to this on iTunes or in your favorite place to get podcasts and you'd like to watch the video, I'll leave the link below, and vice versa. If you're watching this and you'd like to listen, I'll leave that link below. Stay tuned. I have about 10 interviews that I've done with sales professionals, with CEOs, with sales leaders, and I keep putting those forth. And I didn't post last week, so this is kind of a makeup. And so I anticipate in the next day or so dropping that first interview so that you can get perspective from others just like you who are out there selling every single day and sharing their wisdom and experience. And listen, if you're out there crushing it as a sales professional and you're doing something specific that you believe is working and you'd like to serve and help others through your message and through your lessons, I'd love to have you on the podcast. Just reach out to me. You can send me a text at 225-772-3264 or send me a message at info@influenceseminars.com. Love to have you as a guest. We'll see if it's a good fit for you and we'll connect. But remember, until we talk again, you can literally write your own ticket in the profession of sales. You've just got to be willing to increase your influence. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.